Hi everyone, Nathan here from Mighty Lancer Games. Just thought we'd bring you another quick battle report about a game that we had the other night. I played my Night Lord's Horus Heresy 30k army against my my opponent Jim, who brought his Imperial fists. We played the Shatter Strike mission with ambush deployment, and I was the attacker. So Jim had to deploy all his stuff in the middle of the board, and I just opted to put my Primarch on the table over at one side behind a building. I got the first turn, and he'd placed a couple of dreadnoughts close by, so I ran them off around the side, ran Kurz to try and get him away. Night fighting rules were in effect, so I thought he was pretty safe. Unfortunately, the dreadnoughts got within range and shot him quite a bit, which didn't really go over the well. He ended up with just 2 wounds at the end of the first turn, so he had to run a bit further round, try and get in some more cover. That was my second turn because I failed my reserves roll to try and bring my reinforcements on. Jim brought in some of his own reserves. He brought a assault ram loaded with troops onto the board, zoomed it into position close to Kurz, and shot him a little bit more with his dreadnoughts. Kurz managed to get round the corner into cover, and then the drop assault occurred. So I placed down all my drop pods and all my assault troops and my Night Raptors and my jet bikes, and everything was surrounded in the middle of the table, apart from Kurz, who was over here getting shot at by some other stuff. And everything was looking fantastic. So the heat blasts went off from the dreadnought, everything went to plan, killed some of his guys in the middle, and then my troops jumped out the drop pods and everybody shot, and we managed to decimate a whole load of his infantry in the middle of the board. However, he did have a character, Fafnir Ran, so when I assaulted the unit that included him, you end up taking hits on your units because of one of his special abilities. So we kind of got locked in a combat in the middle of the board, which was a bit of a grind. Ended up seeing off one of my units and slaying them entirely, and another one of my units fled over towards the side of the board over at that side. Then in my next turn, I managed to charge in with some Terminators and Sevatar, the first captain of the Night Lords, and they made short work of Fafnir and his little crew. Sevatar slayed him outright in one hit, which was really cool. And then I had some more Terminators. They charged into a Deredeo Dreadnought over here, and Kurz attempted to charge into some Templars and Sigismund, who'd got out of the assault ram. So, but unfortunately, they have an ability that lets them countercharge, and they charged into Kurz, so he didn't get the bonus on the assault. However, he did manage to inflict a few wounds on them before they laid him low, took him out with their powerful weapons, and then everything else kind of crushed into the middle and got stuck into more glorious combat. But unfortunately, Jim had brought on some Terminators over in this corner, and they disrupted my plan just a little bit. So when we got to the end of turn 4, we decided that, because it was getting a bit late at night, we decided that we would call the game to an end there. I couldn't feasibly win. I didn't have enough units on the board to win the game via victory points. So we decided to declare Jim the winner, Imperial Fists. Now this has made me consider my list a little bit that I'm going to take over to the Warhammer Fest event. I'm probably going to have to put Conrad Kurz in a drop pod himself with some Terminators instead of deploying him on the board to get shot at for the first turn or two. And then I'm going to have to take a couple of other smaller units, maybe tactical squads in Rhinos. So I've got something to put on the board and keep out of sight at the start of the game that can then maybe zoom up in the Rhinos and claim some objectives later. So it's been really helpful playing this game, giving me a different aspect to consider, and jig my list a little bit, which has been really cool. So it was a great game. Thanks, Jim, and thanks everyone for watching. See you all soon.